It's the start of the longest Formula One season ever. 23 races in 2023, and it all starts here at the Bahrain International Circuit. And here's how the calendar lines out. We start in Bahrain before moving over to Saudi Arabia and Australia, taking up into April. A month off before Azerbaijan back-to-back with Miami. Imola then follows Monaco with the remaining May dates. Spain moves to June, along with Canada and Austria leading us to July. British Grand Prix on the 9th of July, then Hungary, and then Belgium rounds us out to the summer break. We come back at the Netherlands, then Italy, 2 weeks later Singapore, back-to-back with Japan. Qatar back on the calendar with a sprint race. United States, Mexico, Brazil, new addition to Las Vegas as well on the 18th of November. The season rounds out in Abu Dhabi on the 26th of November. 23 races, it's the longest F1 calendar in history. It's the final chance for the Formula One drivers to get their eye in. It's free practice 3 ahead of the Bahrain Grand Prix here at the Bahrain International Circuit in Shakir. Let's take a look around the Bahrain International Circuit, a 3.362 mile circuit, 15 turns in total, 3 DRS zones as well. High elevation change up towards turn number 4. It's a fast, abrasive circuit. Get a good exit then out of the last corner and boot it hard towards turn number 1. Maximum usage as well of the DRS and ERS power. You're going 8th gear flat out, over 300 kilometers, lap on the brakes very late, turn in a very tight right-hander. Careful as you accelerate the power, flat out through the kink at 2 and then the rise uphill towards turn 3 with the second DRS detection zone. Turn 4 flat out, braking around about 80 meters to go, flick the car in once again to the right, let it drift out, pick up the accelerator, don't go wheels off the white line as well, but try and use it as much as possible. Down to the sand dune section now, 5th gear, right through the curves as well. Get back on the power, heavy braking stop once again, down all the way, 2nd gear corner, back to the right, power mid-on at the exit, rise up. Turn 9 and 10, double sweeping left-hander. Take the first one tight, brake hard and turn. A lot of lockers on the inside front left here as well. Into the tight turn 10. DRS opens once again for the 3rd time. Down you go towards turn 11. Important to keep the car moving, important to keep the brakes on. Light tap of the brakes down in 4th gear, power through mid-exit as well, right up the curbs. Now, turn 12 and 13, very important. Don't touch the curbs at all, otherwise I'll spin you towards the wall. It's one of those type of circuits. Flick now, down, mid through, the last turn 13. Down, once again, the long back straight, no DRS. You're going to have to pass here with ERS management as well. Into turn 14 as well. Another heavy braking zone, down 3rd gear. Back again to the right, turn 15's practically invisible as you hurtle down with the DRS open through the first activation zone across the line. That is a lap of the Bahrain International Circuit here in Shakir. Good morning everybody and welcome to Free Practice 3, the final hour before we get into the qualifying procedure here for the Bahrain Grand Prix, the season opener of 2023. Joining us in the commentary box, Tom Dillon will be here shortly, but Nathan Richards, hello Richie, you doing okay? Welcome back to Formula One, nice to have you on the show and not commentating on PSGL, we get the F1 this time, not F2.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Obviously, we had the F3 race earlier on. That was a great race between Martin and Colapinto. We've got the F2 race later on, and now we've got F1 practice 3, which should be great. Obviously, Red Bull topped the timing sheets in practice 1. Aston Martin topped the timing sheets in practice 2. I'm curious to think who will take it in practice 3. Will we see maybe Ferrari top the showing sheets, or will Red Bull and Aston Martin show their dominance yet again?
Good long run pace yesterday, of course. The Aston Martins and Red Bulls, their overall strategy was for long run pace. Red Bull were ahead by 27 thousandths of a second as well. So it looks strong that Fernando Alonso actually has a decent shot here to get his first win since 2013. Is it too early to say that Aston are the runaways for chasing Red Bull this year? But something's changed on that car. They genuinely do look strong. It's a surprising story, but we've seen it before in Formula One. Red Bull were the surprise back in 2009, along with Brawn. So it's not unusual to see a team make the leap up.
Yeah, I don't think it's wrong to assume that Aston Martin will be one of the top teams. Obviously, in the last couple of years, they've had Lawrence Stroll buy in. He's put a lot of money into the team. They've got a lot of top-level engineers, strategists, and all top team level staff. So I think it's kind of expected. I don't think people expected them to be this good, but I thought we knew that there'd be a bit of a leap in performance, maybe that top 5. But at the moment, they look like they're going to be fighting for the top 2.
Lando Norris was surprising everybody in practice 1, went 4th fastest. Practice 2, he was 9th overall, though. But McLaren, who were leaving the test, I think one of the worst teams on the grid, they've come here now to the opening race, and things looking slightly more normal, I'm happy to say. Do you reckon that's going to be a major factor for them to sort of get a boost up and say, oh, hang on a minute, we are actually quite strong. We've actually got a car that we can understand and get quicker on. Or are we going to see them struggle in qualifying later?
See, I think qualifying, I don't think we'll see any of them get to Q3. And I think that's because the McLarens never suit this track. Last year we saw they had a really, really bad performance. I think probably the worst performance out of any team. I think it was 17th and 18th at the Bahrain Grand Prix last year. And I just think they've got issues with brake cooling. This is one of the tracks you don't want brake cooling issues, especially when you're going down into turn 1, into turn 9 and 10, and even into the last couple of corners. So I think they'll struggle heavily here. But then obviously, we saw them in the first race. Lando finished 16th. 3 races later, he's on the podium. So, you know, McLaren can definitely change up very quick going into the next few rounds. And obviously, we have Bahrain, then Saudi, then Australia. 3 completely different tracks.
3 very different big tracks, a sort of a normal circuit in Bahrain, then a street circuit craziness of Jeddah, and then Australia has now got 4 DRS zones, all increased up, so that's going to be even more interesting to see who's going to be faster and who's not. Coming into practice 3 then, who's sort of your star to look forward to? Who do you think is going to go best in this session? Because, of course, it's a day session. It's not really representative of what we're going to see later. Track temperature's at 41 degrees right now. So there won't be that much running, but they've got to do quali simulation still and get the car ready.
Yeah, I'm probably going to say Fernando Alonso. I think it's a safe bet. I think at the end of the day, the car's good. Fernando's the most experienced driver on the grid. I think that works hand in hand. And I think, even though they know they've got Lance Stroll, I think in general, Fernando is going to have the car built to him more than they'll build it towards Stroll. Speaking of Stroll, what do you think of the whole Stroll situation? What do you think they should do about it? Do you think he should be able to race? Do you think they should put Drugovich in place, or?
Well, we were talking about that just now. I actually think they should put Drugovich in play and not have Stroll out there, because it's causing a few more problems. And it is causing issues as well that people were expecting, as like he's having to take his hand off the wheel. He reported this morning that he had to be helped up the car last night as well, we saw.
Yeah.
So there are issues, and hopefully they're going to be sorted quite soon. In fact, here it is. I mean, we're going to set you off for a second. There it is. Look, the image on your screen of being able to be helped up the car as well, because he couldn't physically lift himself out of it. So you do have to wonder, is it a situation where, oh, this is a bit much now, maybe he should give it up?
Yeah.
And I'll bring you on that first, Richie, then Tom, as he's joined us. Go on.
I think the issue is, even if Stroll wants to race, because he might say, actually, you know, I can do it. But I think that's when the team should step in and say, no, you know, you're not fit to race. It's not fair for you. And also, if he's got issues with his hand, that could also cause collisions with the other drivers going into turn 1. You know, you don't know if he jolts the wheel and gives a lot of pain in his hand, he might loose the wheel or something, and it could cause an incident, and it could make his hand worse. So I think they should just play the safe bet, let Drugovich in. Drugovich did testing, he knows the car, so it's really a no-brainer to put Drugovich in.
I'll bring Tom in shortly. Here we go then. Time for practice 3. Back to the daytime then for the final hour of pre-season, because after this we're into qualifying where the real action can begin. So just one more hour then before we're all happy. Welcome to the Bahrain International Circuit on Saturday morning for free practice 3 for round 1 of the 2023 season, a season that takes us around the world as well. And what a calendar it is, 23 races in 2023. Round 1 is here at Bahrain. This fantastic circuit, 3.363 miles, 5.412 kilometers, 63% of the lap at full throttle. A 1:31.447 is the lap record here set by Dalla Rosa. 15 turns, top speed of 203.7 miles an hour, 16.8 meters elevation change on the run up towards turn number 4. Tyre compounds here because we're in the middle of a desert and also needing as well the longevity of it as well for the tyres. It's the C1 hard, C2 medium and C3 soft compound tyre. C0 is the hardest, C5 is the softest, so we've got the middle range of the compound so far. 41 degree track temperature, air temperature 28 degrees as well. Practice 3 is going to be insane, and we heard from Richie just before. Tom joins us again. Tom, I'll say good afternoon to you as we haven't had a chance yet. Well, here we go then, one more hour for quali, and it's a session which really is a bit irrelevant, but it still looks good to see the cars out there on the track.
Good afternoon, Josh. Happy to be here. And, well, I suppose it's morning here in the UK still. Not quite the afternoon just yet, but I'm excited for qualifying this afternoon. I think practice 3, of course, seems a little bit arbitrary, seems a little bit of a formality. The teams, obviously, they know what they're doing. But I am interested on the Lance Stroll issue to see if he is actually going to take that qualifying session this afternoon, or if they're going to do a late switch, even if they're allowed to do a late switch.
Yeah, you can take it up until qualifying, I think, isn't it? That's the rule, because we saw Paul di Resta have that before, back in 2017 when he took over for Felipe Massa, who had food poisoning. So it is possible, but is that going to be fair, Richie, for Drugovich if they change it after this session and he goes in for quali? He'll only have that session to get ready in the car after, what, 4 hours of testing over the weekend, over last week?
Yeah, I think by now they should have made the decision before practice. They would have done tests with the simulator, with the training and stuff, and the workouts to see if he's capable to race. And I think they've obviously took that gamble of being like, right, you know, you might have some struggles, but let's just try it out. And I think they've took him 3 sessions. I think they should have said after practice 1, right, you know, it's not a good idea, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
We can bring you back for Jeddah or Australia, but just let Felipe in. He's done the testing, he knows how to drive the car. So it'd make sense, like I said before. I don't know why they're not going to go ahead with it. I have a feeling it's something to do with Lawrence Stroll, bit of a Max Verstappen, Jos Verstappen type thing, but we don't know for sure.
And Tom as well, is it a situation where he's not going to be a danger to others, obviously, because he's not going to be that idiotic to drive, but is he a danger to himself? Could he get more and more injured? We were talking about it yesterday in practice too. Does he run the risk of extending this injury he's got further and further into the season?
Yes, Josh, he does, but to be honest with you, I'm very much on the page here of it's his risk to take. He is the professional athlete. He's the one who's got the advice from the doctors, but at the end of the day, they can't ban him from racing because he's got an injury. You know, it's his risk to take. If he's willing to take that risk, then as far as I'm concerned, he should be allowed to drive that car.
20 seconds to go until the green light goes out. Nobody's getting ready to head out there onto the circuit. We thought they might be, but They're just taking their time. The fans are making their way in as well. There's the Max Verstappen fan grandstand or sea of orange there as well. The party atmosphere beginning to bop in the background. Let's say good afternoon to Ted Kravitz.
Hello, Crofty. Hello, Anthony. Hello, everybody. Yes, welcome to the pit lane, where it is absolutely baking hot. We're nudging towards 30 degrees air temperature, nudging towards, well, it's high 40s, I believe, on the track. So very similar conditions to yesterday. We have a modest crowd in the grandstand that you can see. It's the second day. It's effectively the Sunday of the Arabic weekend round here in the desert. And talking of the desert, like a camel roaming the desert, looking for the nearest oasis to find water, I feel that Red Bull are looking for their pace. Looking for their pace of testing. Where has it gone? What has happened between the test when Red Bull were absolutely perfect and seemingly easily the quickest of anybody? What's happened between then, just a few weeks ago, or just 1 week ago, a few days ago, to the race weekend, Crofty? So, like that camel looking for water, Red Bull are definitely looking for their pace, and they're not going to find it with Sergio Perez's car at the moment because they've got some scanning going on. You see this, oh, this chap shouldn't get in the way. You see this guy underneath with what looks like the hydrochloric defibrillator. What was that thing in Ghostbusters that they used to actually capture the, to tell ghostly activities? It was the scanner, wasn't it? Anyway, so this is a scanner. This is a handheld laser scanner that the chap to our looking at on the right as we're looking at it is scanning the tunnels going into the floor on Sergio Perez's car. So yeah, that's no sign of Perez, no sign of Max Verstappen getting in the car anytime soon. He's just sort of taking it easy. So they're relaxing down here at Red Bull. They don't seem to be overly worried about finding out where their pace has gone just yet.
Now, you know me, Ted, I'm a Back to the Future man. The flux capacitor was actually invented by my mate Danny. He designed the flux capacitor. Anthony is my Ghostbusters expert on this one.
It was the proton pack.
Well, that was the proton pack, yes, but there was a handheld device that went, you know, and it looks
search
like
Ted, see what I come up with.
Yeah, I know our learned listeners and viewers will know what it is. So yeah. Tweet us in. But anyway, so what is that? I mean, I know what it is. It's a handheld laser scanner.
We love a laser scanner.
I'm trying to liken it to the handheld ghost detectors.
It's called the PKE meter, also known as an auroscope.
And some of the
All right, well, Ted's gone down. So that's what it is, guys. It's an auroscope, is what Ted was trying to say to us. I just had a quick Google. The Pit Lane channel is finally working on the iPad as well, on the Sky Sports app as well, with the multicam, so you can see Norris and the third driver is on the circuit alongside the main pictures. That's good. Red Bull don't look overly worried though, Tom. They look like they're just having a plan. Max's car's getting set up, some scanning on Perez's car. I think they'll run in the last half hour of this session.
Yeah, they should do, and the most important thing is that the Red Bull is set up for qualifying. Obviously, you want to keep your card close to your chest in a practice 3 session because you don't want to crash and have to rush away ahead of a qualifying session. So they need to be careful. Don't put anything risky onto that car. Make sure that it's all set up and ready to go. Norris is obviously purple in the first sector, the first person to set a lap. Only man on track actually at the moment, which is why I think Red Bull will probably wait around here.
Tom, Richie, we were talking about Lando Norris in the pre-show. He's going out there. The car actually went down to FIA scrutineering this morning and got re-homologified as well. So they've changed something on that McLaren that they needed to get passed by the FIA. And I'm just wondering, is it a new wing setup and maybe a new floor? Because we saw they were having trouble yesterday in practice 2 after a great performance in practice 1. So they've got the day pace, they need the night pace as Lance Stroll clambers into the car unaided this time.
Yep. I would believe it's something possibly to do with the floor or the suspension, because obviously a bit similar to Alpine, McLaren have been running a very, very stiff car, and that's what's caused issues for Norris and Oscar. So I believe it is probably something to do with the suspension on the floor. Could be something completely different. We don't know. They could be looking to try and achieve something different. But I assume we'll find out in due course. And Norris goes quickest with 34.6.
I'm just taking a look at that rear wing actually, guys, and I'm seeing a single stroke. We've got a lovely close-up now. Look at the rear wing where the mounting is. Oh, it just goes to it. It's in turn 9, so I'm hoping it shows us exactly what I think it's going to show us. Because I think the rear wing is a similar type to the Ferrari we saw yesterday. And look, here we go. So does that is a sliding coming into turn 9, but look at the rear wing strut. To me, I can only see one bolt across it going down. So a single pillar in between the wing. Yes, I'm right. Look, a single pillar. There we go. There's the wing. So that's what they've changed compared to yesterday where they had a double strut.
Well, that's what Ferrari changed, and it didn't work because it was like a seesaw going around the track. And as we saw there, as the picture showed us, obviously the McLaren's still having so many issues coming into turn 9. The braking, it's just not there. The car's struggling so much, and they've got to be careful that they don't get much oversteer on the exit as well, because it's just going to send them around. That car is really, really unstable down that middle sector.
Oh, you're all right, by the way, Richie. Look, he's turned up. Rosberg.
Nico.
Let's hear from him, and then we'll go to Tom.
See like what's happening and then who's going to be fastest, and I have to disagree straight away with you, Crofty.
Why is that?
Carlos Sainz was not a driving error. Come on.
I'm just saying what the team told me. I was just saying what the team told me yesterday.
The car completely lost the aerodynamics.
The team will always say that it was the driver's fault. I was going to say, who was it? Was it one of the mechanics, the engineers, or driver coach?
I can't say, but I've won my bet. 5 seconds into the broadcast, Nico disagrees with me. I said it'd be under 10 seconds.
Some things never change.
Exactly. Been away for a while, but you're back with us and smiling. Do you remember 2006? Your Formula One debut here this weekend. Do you remember your feelings going into qualifying day on that day?
Yeah, of course. First of all, scared to mess up, because the first qualifying ever, and it's the big dream to be a Formula One driver. And then, of course, excited as well to get out there with the car and try and perform and nail the lap. So it's a combination of everything. And no, my first weekend went awesomely on this track, so I'll always have wonderful memories here, and got fastest lap of the race that day.
You did.
Oh, there it is.
I remember it well. Look, a
No way.
very young Nico Rosberg. Martin Whitmarsh came down to say hello. Your dad was there as well. Is that Frank Durney? Did he make you any cups of tea?
Yeah, that's one of the Formula One engineering legends, Frank Durney there, who used to be work on my dad's car when he was at Williams.
Really?
Yeah.
Frank Durney.
That's insane. And Tom as well, we remember, of course, Rosberg making debuts, the 2016 world champion, then left the sport. But going back to somebody else who's returned to the sport, Nico Hülkenberg, he was quite quick in practice too yesterday. Inside the top 5, has have pace, and he's had a scruffy lap here, making numerous mistakes. Turn 4 on the last corner now. Oh, I can't hear you, Tom.
Getting used to actually having a physical mute button on my mic. I was going to ask, was Rosberg champion in 2016? I don't think he's ever mentioned it before, so I must have forgotten that one.
Yeah, I missed that.
No, Hasser was against Lewis Hamilton as well in equal machinery, but Haas looked quite good. There's their on the television pictures, their 3-man pit wall, which I have to say is incredibly comical. £250,000 that pit wall has saved the course of a year. Absolutely unbelievable. But Haas, I think they've got an exciting car setup this year. I think I can quite easily see them with 2 very experienced drivers in the car fighting for top 3s, but not top 3s, top 10s at least.
Look at this though. I love this stat. 22 years ago, Fernando Alonso made his F1 debut with Minardi at the 2001 Australian Grand Prix. I remember that race. It was one of my earliest memories, actually. It was a good race, and apart from the fact that Charles Marshall was killed when Villeneuve hit the back of Ralf Schumacher and hit the wall hard. But it was a close battle, really. Schumacher dominated, and Alonso impressed in Minardi. But 22 years then since his Formula One career began with Minardi. 22 years later, still in Formula One, he's done, let's have a look, Fernando Alonso now in the Aston. He's done 355 Grand Prix, won 32 races, pole position 22 times, 23 fastest laps, 98 podiums, championships in 05 and 06. First win was Hungary 03, hasn't won since Spain 2013. 3's go in the pack here, guys. 03 Hungary, his first win. Last win, Spain 03. Could he make 23 a win and maybe even a run for the title? Tom keeps saying, no, it's too early. Richie, what do you say about it all? Do we believe the hype train yet?
I definitely agree. I think it's possible. And maybe that's because I like Fernando, I don't know, but I think he's definitely got it in the bag. If the car performs well and doesn't die from reliability like he had in Alpine, I think The performance looks well. They've just got to keep up with Red Bull throughout the whole year. Red Bull, you know, we know they're really good with their mid-season development. Aston Martin, if they've got the money available, I can't see why they can't keep up. And obviously they've got previous Red Bull and Ferrari, Mercedes engineers and other members of staff, so they've got the resources. They've just got to use them correctly.
Let's have Fernando, then I'll go to Tom.
The car still feels good, but yeah, I mean, we need to wait and see. At the moment, there is not much focus still on times because we have to improve a few things on the car in terms of setup, but also it's very early days and we still, even on the meetings, on the things, on the approach to racing, we're still changing a lot of things and try to reinforce the team in every area, not only on the car performance. So yeah, it's going to be a very interesting process, but I think the team is learning every day.
So doing well to manage the team's expectations. Whatever Lawrence Stroll said to you to persuade you to come to this team, he's a very persuasive man. He obviously told you what he anticipated coming, but did you expect it to happen this soon?
Well, let's see what happens in the first couple of races. At the moment, it's only good test sessions, but I don't know. I think Lawrence has, you know, this vision on everything he does, and you know, it's very difficult to see Lawrence Stroll fails on anything that he has into his vision. So, you know, I think it's a matter of time that Aston Martin could challenge top teams. We are in, as I said, in a very interesting process with a completely new car, new technical department, and a lot of things that we are learning, but I think it's still a long way to go.
Best this weekend. Thank you.
Tom, coming to you then. We've just said, I'll tell you what, the Sky team must be listening to our commentary with that perfect timing for Fernando's interview there. But you've had a night to sleep on it now. Has your mind changed yet that Fernando Alonso could actually be in some form of contention this year? Or are you still not going to believe it until qualifying?
I won't believe it until Fernando Alonso is leading the championship with 2 races to go, and I'll still doubt myself because I just don't think it's going to happen. You don't make that big of a jump in a single year over the course of a winter. It just doesn't happen in Formula One, and if it does, you know, okay, yes, I'm going to be completely honest with you, and I honestly forget what I said yesterday, but I could see them maybe winning a race towards the end of this year. I could see them getting a shock pole position, but to see them contending for the championship is a completely different thing. To see them getting 1-2s is a completely different thing. Based on what we've seen, I could see Aston Martin, and I probably will see Aston Martin fighting for podiums, but I don't think it's way too early to say if they're going to be contenders for a championship. And it's probably not true to say they're going to be contenders for a championship.
Yeah, I mean, with Richie, we're going to see Mercedes back up there at some point. Hamilton's going to go top now as well. Actually, that's Russell, isn't it, with the green helmet, 134, 102. Yep. Hamilton's at the fastest speed on first and sector and second sector. He's coming out now, but Leclerc's quicker than him as well. But is it more the expectation that Aston have currently got a great setup for the car? But as we saw, nearly every year in Formula One, development is still key. So we could have the upgrades coming to the Mercedes that are due in Baku. Suddenly they start running away with it. McLaren, they've got the ones coming in Emilia-Romagna. So it's like there are setup changes coming, and the teams are going to fluctuate around the pecking order the entire season.
Yeah, I definitely think we'll have a closer grid this year for sure. There's a lot of cars that are a lot closer than there was, a lot closer to Red Bull than there was last year. One example would be Haas.
Yeah.
In practice 2 last night, they did really, really well. And I know practice doesn't always show the true performance, but, you know, Haas kept up. I think it was about 6/10, I think it was from Hulkenberg to Alonso, which is really good. So, you know, they've definitely got some pace to show. But I just think the 2 teams that are lacking, I think Williams, bit of a common answer, but I think another one, AlphaTauri, in my opinion, are just not performing at all.
Interesting about AlphaTauri as well. De Vries and Tsunoda sort of been nowhere, of course, testing. I agree with you there. I said Alpine is the worst team. They did the least amount of laps, 311, I think. Also, they lost overall times compared to testing compared to last year's car, so they're actually negative. So I said they're not looking great. I just want to pick up something quickly in the chat here because Josh said, I feel I can definitely drive no problem, says Lance Stroll. SSD says Hulkenberg now coming back on track. He's currently down to 5th. Nearing the record to 400 GPs could be achieved next season, says SSG about Fernando Alonso. Definitely could be, because this year it'll go up to 23 more, so that takes it to 377. No, so 378. So with 22 races on the calendar, at least next year, could get 400 the last race. I have a feeling he could get to 400 and then retire. That's a nice little number that Alonso could do. Josh says, Josh uses his nose to the max there. Yep, on the wall. Jess, we've got to get you on for a race in Saudi Arabia. Got to get you on for something there in a practice session. I believe in the Fernando Alonso hype train, says Jess. I completely... well, Megan agrees with you. Actually said this. Megan he said this morning as well. She's got this strange feeling about Fernando Alonso that he's actually looking calmer, which is interesting. SHTO says, was it Mercedes upgrades coming at Imola and McLaren upgrades at Baku? Well, it's one of the two. Well, I think Mercedes had upgrades coming at Baku. I know McLaren also said they had some, but then I think they've delayed it to Imola, so I think they've actually swapped over. I'll call my paddock informants of the journalist departments and see what it is. I think you're right. It's Mercedes at Imola and McLaren at Baku. But Mercedes have got a good setup on the car. And Josh says to you, Tom, you got to be in the believe in Fernando Alonso, especially when Megan is around. That is true. Otherwise, she'll have a go, like she did in practice too.
Well, I'm going to still sit on the fence with it as Lance Stroll. Looking okay. His wrist looks okay at the moment. Going across the line to start his first flying lap of the evening, afternoon, I suppose. It's not even afternoon over here, but it is afternoon in Bahrain, so isn't that lovely? But I wanted to bring up a point about Williams, if you don't mind, because I'm actually very excited by Williams. Now, this is maybe a little bit of bias. My half Williams have always been my favourite team. I love Williams. And I have to say, James Vowles, very good signing for them as a team principal. He can very much take this team forward. They were talking in testing in the main commentary about how his work ethic is just absolutely superb. If you can put that onto the team, that's perfectly fair enough. I fear for the name Williams continuing in Formula 1 much past the next couple of years. But what I don't fear is the next couple of years for this team, because I think actually they've got the right people in place. Even if this year is something of a transition year for them, this Williams team could be back in the points very, very soon.
Why fear for the Williams name, though? Isn't it about the heritage to keep it as well? It's one of the legendary names of the sport. They change it, they sort of loses their identity a bit.
I don't trust Darlington to not sell out to, the Qataris if they were to come knocking. Although I don't think the Qataris would come knocking for Williams in particular. But I don't trust them to not come... to not sell out to, a manufacturer, a BMW or someone of that nature. I think BMW probably a little bit preoccupied with their hypercar campaigns. But, if it were to happen, I could see them very much losing that Williams name. I don't think the Williams name is particularly safe, and I think that is also the general feel in the paddock.
Well, that's a brave call to depress us all on a morning. As Sky take over, I'll just switch over to the T-Feed microphone setup as well. But Richie, Williams in Mercedes? Williams keeping in Formula 1? What do you think? Your take on that?
See, it's not something that's really crossed my mind before, but when it comes to Formula 1, money talks. There'll be lots of manufacturers and rich investors who probably would take the chance, actually, and buy into Williams if it got sold out. So I don't expect it to happen, but I think if it was to happen, I wouldn't be surprised. It wouldn't be like, oh, well, something's like, well, that, it was seen to be coming. So it's going to be interesting. I don't think it'll be anytime soon, maybe 3 or 4 years, depending on how the development of the team goes. If the team stays where it is, finishing 10th, then I don't think anyone will want to buy into it, but if they can start moving up, getting a few points on the board, getting themselves into 9th, 8th in the championship, then it's a lot more possible then.
Just want to ask you, Richie, you have Sky Sports over at your end, obviously, to watch the races. If you have the app as well, get the Sky Sports app, because all 20 onboards are now available on the app, as well as all the T-feeds. I don't know if you've got that or not.
I've seen that, and it looks quite interesting. I don't actually have Sky Sports. Well, we'll say legally. So it's not something I can look into, but it does look really interesting, and it's nice to see that Sky Sports are putting more involvement in there, because obviously you can hear the uncensored team radios as well. So
Indeed,
I suppose it brings the fans a little bit closer than before, doesn't it? Being able to see their favourite drivers or the least favourite drivers out on track.
I've got a
For
feeling
the whole race or the whole qualifying.
I've got a feeling when Megan gets in here later, though, that she will change it to Fernando Alonso. He'll just get left there. Go on, Tom.
I have to say, though, that I think this is very much Sky Sports trying to cover their asses for when F1 TV, inevitably finds itself coming over here to the UK. I think they've just got it. People are already complaining that F1 TV's got all of this access. What is it with Sky? And I mean, they've had the onboards for many years.
Yeah.
One of my favourite things to do when I was like 6 years old was annoy my dad and go on the practice sessions and put the onboards on because it looked like the F1 game. Used to do his head in, but I used to love doing that. And but I think it's exciting. My only gripe is it's not on Sky Go on the computer.
Yeah, that's annoying. That's really annoying me too. Because if it was on Sky Go, it means I can get it on the laptop and I can actually show some onboards on the stream because they're on a different copyright to what the TV pictures are. Because we can't show you the world feed, but the onboard cameras are different legislation, so we can show you some of those, and we can also. That's why we can show TED as well because it's under the the 60-second law or something or other that you can use it the copyright-free stuff. But the world feed you can't touch with the barge pole because that's live. But you can touch the pit lane cameras and the onboards. It's different, so it's really annoying as well to get through. Charles Leclerc at the moment, though, has gone third fastest on a 1:33.567 as I'm just keeping an eye on the main world feed pictures before Sky come back in a few seconds' time. I've got a question here from SHT, and I'll read Jess's reply out too. SHT asks, in your opinion, which year was the Bahrain Grand Prix had its best racing on track? Jess has said 2014, that battle with Nico and Lewis was epic, and it certainly was. So I'll start with you, Richie. What do you think the best ever Bahrain Grand Prix for you was?
14 or 21.
Good calls, good picks.
I think 14, that battle with Nico and Lewis was really, really great, starting their rivalry off. And then 21, not too fond of the result, but I think it was the fact of it's getting to the last few laps. His maximum had up to Lewis. He caught up, he got past, had to give it back. So it was all, it was down to the last lap, and obviously the results changed heavily within 2 laps. 1 minute we thought, Max probably has this. Next minute, Lewis definitely has because of Max having to drop back. So that would be another favourite race of mine for Bahrain.
What about you, Tom? What do you think?
I'm going to go with the pouring option where someone probably grumbles or Drive to Survive generation, but 2022, genuinely, that battle throughout basically the entire race between Max and Charles, it was so exciting. It might not have meant much for the championship in the end, but it definitely got us hyped up for the 2022 regulations. I also have to give an honourable mention, as Jess mentioned in the chat, to the 2022 Sakir Grand Prix. That was an incredible race. I'm still sort of scarred as a little bit of a George Russell fanboy. I have to say, I really wanted him to get his first win there. It's Fernando Alonso, by the way, purple, in the first sector. But I'm still a little bit scarred from that race, but it was such a good event. And I wish the calendar physically had room for that outer layout to return.
I do. It was such a great race. One of my favourites to commentate on because Alonso's up by 4.5 tenths here. We'll believe the hype train soon. But I think I'll actually go 2 favourite. I've got to pick the Shakir race because that was epic. I enjoyed commentating that race so much, and it's actually one of my favourite commentaries because I felt like everyone in the com team that day worked perfectly together. We were all bouncing off each other perfectly. As Alonso does a 1:33.121 and goes 3 tenths faster than Hamilton. Believe the hype. Believe the hype. But yeah.
Well,
go on.
I'll say when Alonso crossed the line, you saw his fist. Yes, so we knew that was a great lap for the car and for him. But also, I've got one question to ask Tom. So obviously, with the Sakir race, with Russell losing the win, do you think it was intentional by Mercedes, or do you think it was just an error?
I think it's a bit of a silly conspiracy theory, to be honest with you. Mercedes are very, very strong in terms of their direction as a team. I don't think they would pull that kind of nonsense. I wouldn't put it past Toto Wolff, don't get me wrong, but I would like to believe that they wouldn't pull that kind of nonsense with the car. I think it was very much just one of those things where absolutely everything goes wrong. I mean, there's also I remember watching the conspiracy and I sort of bought into it that, well, if there was if there was a puncture on the car towards the end of the race, then why didn't Russell report it? And actually, he did. He said in an interview with Channel 4 after that race that he felt the car oversteering and things like that. So that sort of put that to bed a little bit for me. It was just him sort of not wanting to believe it.
Verstappen crosses the line, goes 5th. Perez is behind him too. There's a question in the chat I want to get to as well in a second. Across the line then, still think that pink car coming towards me is Perez, but it's not. Perez goes 8th. Albon just behind too. 18th fastest, goes up to 8th. Hamilton is a couple of sectors behind. We've got a question here coming as well. Great, and I want to get into it. Colin Linda says, shout out from South Africa. How do you go about choosing your first F1 team to support? This will be my first season. Well, welcome to Formula One. Thanks for tuning to the watch long. Hopefully you'll enjoy it as well and really get into it, because it's one of the best sports on the planet, and the adrenaline you feel is second to none. I would say, guys, and I hope I'll listen to your suggestions too after this. I would say, if this is your first time watching Formula 1 as a proper race, I would say go into race 1, watch the race, and then note down which drivers you were cheering on more in that race, and then start following them if you're into that, because that's what I found out as well, that growing up watching the sport, the drivers who you were going like, oh yes, go for that move, what a brilliant one, that's drivers then I thought, oh, that's really good. So you start developing sort of like knowledge of who's good and who's not. So I would say watch the first race, note down who you said brilliant and made you actually think that was a great move, that was a great race or thing, and then go from there and just enjoy it as a whole, and find your right fan base as well, look into it as well, but for God's sake, stay away from Twitter. Just stay, whatever you do, stay away from Twitter.
My recommendation would actually be when you're first getting into F1. In fact, I'd say this for F1 as a whole. Actually, don't feel the need to support a particular team or a particular driver. You can have favourites. I've got favourites. You know, as I mentioned on the stream, I love Williams. You know, and to be honest with you, if I was going to, you know, wear a cap for any team out and about, it would probably be a Williams cap. But I wouldn't say that I support Williams. I'm not sitting there going, you know, as if it were a football team where I'm like, oh no, Williams. But I feel like that can actually ruin the sport a little bit when you're watching it. If you have favourites, so, you know, again, George Russell is a driver I really want to see well. Charles Leclerc, you know, I want to see Verstappen do well as well. But actually watch the racing for the racing as a whole. Just sit back and just enjoy the show, because if you pick sides, it can absolutely ruin your enjoyment from it. And to be honest with you, I was guilty of it in 2021. I really wanted Max Verstappen to get his first world title. It actually took away from the spectacle a little bit.
I mean, I must admit, standing in the commentary box in Abu Dhabi, I was a bit like, oh, this is this what it was. Abu Dhabi was a dull race. Hamilton was walking away with it, and then the ending was just a bit like, oh, that's changed a bit.
It was a boring race, wasn't it?
It really was.
Yeah,
lap 1 was like, oh my god, this is amazing. Laps 2 to 50 was like, what on earth have we been all hyped up about? And
I'd rather watch paint dry.
Yeah. Then all of a sudden, Nicholas Latifi hits the wall, and it's like, wow, everything's gone wrong. It was brilliant. From a commentating point of view, it was a dream, because you don't get moments like that in Formula 1, and to get to call that was just absolutely insane. But the computer decided it was dying. It just came back to us on the last lap, thankfully.
Yeah.
Richie, you do support a team. You do support a driver. What would your suggestion be? See,
for me, when I first started watching, it was, I think, watching on and off the start of 2016, I got more involved 2020. And I'll use my example from Formula 3 as well. With Max, it was kind of like some races, like, right, you know, he's a driver I really like, I want to support him. And for example, this is the first season I'm going to be watching Formula 3 thoroughly. And I don't know why, it's a bit of a natural instinct, but I'm automatically supporting Dino and Ollie. I don't know why, but it's just like I've seen those two, I'm like, right, I want those to win. So I think sometimes it's a bit of a natural thing. I don't know if it's to do with the colours, the name, it's just, they just caught my eye straight away.
Yeah, it sort of just starts to sinking together. I get that. So hopefully Colin Nat's given you some information as well, and tune in for qualifying later, because that is going to be absolutely insane. The qualifying format. 3 sessions. We lose 5 drivers at the end of each session. Q3 is the last one, so we have a top 10 shootout as well for pole position, and it's just always crash, bang, wallop as well. And sometimes it's qualifying is better than the race. And I must say, top 5 tips for joining Formula 1 this year. Stay away from Twitter. Enjoy the racing. Feel free to miss some and watch later. Don't let it become your whole life like it has us in the commentaries, because it gets difficult. So feel free missing races and just be sort of casual towards it all if you can. Don't mention anything about Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton, otherwise it's too depressing. And don't believe anything you see up until qualifying. That's pretty much the 5 rules. And the 6th rule I would also say is that when the race starts, turn your television up to 100% and just listen to the boom that comes out from it as well. I think that's a pretty good call.
See, I'll say another rule is keep away from the politics, because that gets very, very in-depth and very toxic. And as a Max fan, I can agree, stay away from the Max and Lewis fan base. It gets very, very, very heated. To the point where sometimes I think, is it really worth me supporting Max and being on Twitter publicly about it?
I've got 2 more rules actually to add to the thing, and one of them isn't strictly F1 related, but my first rule is obviously watch it via us, sync up your pictures. That's the first rule of the day, and my second rule actually is as the wider motorsport thing. Don't be afraid to start with watching F2, F3 as well, but don't be afraid as well to go and watch WEC, go and watch GT racing. A lot of those are free on either your Sky package, WEC via Eurosport, or via the YouTube.
Okay, we'll try again.
Max, no
GT racing, a lot of it is on YouTube and things like that. So don't be afraid to go and do stuff like that. It will increase your enjoyment of the sport, and at the end of the day, you'll see drivers outside of just the normal F1 bubble.
Yeah.
And
there's another thing.
Yeah, go on. I was going to
say sometimes
sports. Go on.
Getting involved into the media and behind the scenes is quite interesting, because you get to learn more about the drivers as people and not just people who go around driving cars. An example, Drive to Survive, I don't really like it because it puts a very fake image on the sport, but then again, you get to see more of the lives of the team principals, the drivers, and other people who work in Formula 1. So in a way, it's good. It's just that the fact the racing on track is normally dramatised. And one of the clips I saw is they was I think it was Ocon in France. Turns out the clip of him going into the pit lane was from testing because the aero brakes were on the back of the car.
Yes, yeah. I mean, it's things like that. You realise when you watch the races as well that Drive to Survive, heavily edited. But some bits are really the key. That's why I've taken a look at it as well, because there's some bits that you didn't see in the paddock, you didn't hear about, and it happens. Like Magnussen saying, "What about Hulkenberg to get the Haas seat as well?" There's little things like that, little bits of information you don't get.
Also, the thing with the team principals, Toto,
Yes.
Mattia, and Christian. What is your take on that, Josh?
To me, it was Toto Wolff being a little bit of a... I think he was stressed. I think it was round, 7, 8 by the time we got to Canada. Mercedes were completely out the championship. Nothing they could do on either side. And I think...
Is that a rebel with an issue?
I think it's Max, isn't it? Again, that's his second slowdown lap he's having now. He complained on the radio a second ago he had no grip, but now he's on another cool-down lap.
I thought that for a second the engine cut out.
A few of them are doing practice starts. I've been watching Fernando Alonso's on board on the app, and he's just been going around doing practice starts. Whether Verstappen's doing that or not, we've got a replay. He might be able to tell us through into the snaky section. Yeah, he's run into traffic, so it's not a huge concern. He had a little bit of a slide, but no, he's just run into traffic. It's okay, basically.
Yeah, it's Magnussen ahead of him in the Haas, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, is it? 27, it's Hulkenberg.
Hulkenberg, yeah.
Oh, hang on. As it comes towards us. I don't know. The numbers look... Yeah, it was Magnussen. There you go. God, the numbers
that's a different car. That's...
Yeah. So same, aren't they, the numbers?
Yeah, that's Hulkenberg. 27.
Oh, God.
I thought it was Magnussen because of the black T-cam. But anyway.
Wait, no, T-cams. Do you know,
that one is Hulkenberg. Yeah. Oh, these Hasses. Jesus Christ, they're really confusing.
On my little notes here in the commentary box that I sent out last night, I need to get alongside the drivers' names, like yellow, black, so I can easily tell who's who and learn it, because they've changed this year for a number of the drivers, and it caught us out in testing, and I haven't yet got the notes yet as to who's where, so it needs to find that out. Cullen says, great rules, love, heart, thanks, fantastic. I hope you enjoy your first race as well. We'll do our best to inform as well. If you watch with us on the race as well, or even look back, we'll do our best to keep you up to date with it. what year are we in now for this? 19 we did the YouTube stuff as we moved over from Facebook. Then it was 20 we did the watch alongs. So 20, 21, 22, 23. Fourth year now we've done the watch along commentaries. So it's my 5th year standing in this particular commentary box because before that we had a different one.
It's going great as well, I think. Every year the viewage and the involvement goes up by a lot.
Really does.
Even already within testing, we had a lot more views than we did back last year in the normal races. So that's nice to see more people getting involved to the watch-alongs. I think another reason is the fact a lot of people are struggling to afford to pay for Sky Sportsman. Is it's what, £40 a month, I believe?
Yeah.
Which I definitely don't pay. So either I use watch-alongs or I use some not so legal websites because I'm not paying £40 for Sky Sports. I think it's disgusting, in my opinion.
I'm seeing an upwards trend here. Myself and you and I have joined these commentary boxes, and the viewership's gone up. I mean, I'm not claiming that there's a correlation there, but there's a potential.
Maybe.
All I'm saying is, guys, is that there's a reason there's a commentary whole gang now, and not just 3 people standing in a box.
It's a bit like the Sky Sports crew, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we got Esteban.
Too much understeer, I need more front. Yeah, literally, I was trying to work out how many people we have who does the commentary on this channel now, and I can't remember. I keep forgetting people. There's too many to add in. But it is literally like we're now just... It's literally gone from me and Megan standing in a front room commentating on races to then standing in a garage commentating on races with Dad on the screen, to Dad being in here, and then now all of a sudden then Josh joined, and then everybody else came in. Ed came in for the Formula E races. That brought you in, Tom. Richie, you joined in through PSGL, brought you on as well. Throughout PSGL, Jess comes in as well. George comes in. The whole ERC gang comes in. Nick Homewood comes in as well. And everybody just starts piling in. The USON lot as well. They come in as well. That was through the Grid Network who I work with. They come on the show. So basically, every channel that we all work with, we all just sort of go, right, let's help everybody out with our content.
Yeah.
And everybody just gets involved. And that's, I think, also why everything's booming as well in the viewership, because everybody's helping everybody out, and we're all having a lot of fun, and I love every single second of it. I just wish I could get you both standing alongside me in the commentary box and not virtually. That would be fantastic if I could get you all here.
I feel like when you got time, Josh, you need to get a Google Docs open and write down which commentator correlates to which Sky Sports and F1 TV commentator.
Oh, that's a good idea. Well, Tom's Ant Davidson, so we sorted that out. We said that a lot.
You're definitely David Croft by a mile.
I'll be Crofty. I think we'll put Megan. Megan's down as more of a Damon Hill, Johnny Herbert crossover.
Or Nico Rosberg.
Yes,
pops in every now and then. Yeah.
Yeah, and well, Dad, Ian Birch will definitely be Eddie Jordan with the stuff he comes out with.
I was going to say Martin Brundle because I was watching I was rewatching your 2021 last couple of laps at Abu Dhabi the other day because I'd never actually seen it. I'm going to be honest with you. I'd never seen it. And Ian Birch is there, and he's saying everything he says actually happens. It was incredible.
I know. I'm sometimes very scared about what he's in the box on Sunday for the race as well. He's in a selected couple of races this year, as Max is going to hopefully go on the track soon. But yeah, literally. Also, if you rewatch that race, you've got Megan jumping up and down to the side of the box. I'm standing there screaming, dripping with sweat. And he sat there with his arms folded, just watching the screen. And
just like Martin Brundle.
Yeah, I was like, I spoke to him after the race and said, are you going to have actually any emotion at any point?
I'm interested to see what his reaction was to Hamilton going straight on at Baku.
He wasn't in the race.
Wasn't he?
No, that's what he missed, actually. In fact, that was the first race he missed in a season because he was ill, so he couldn't do it.
I imagine it would have been the opposite. I imagine it would have been the opposite to Mark Webber at that point.
Yeah, he probably would have said something. Well, go on, Tom.
I was stood up for that 2021 final lap, and I wasn't stood up when I've watched Villa play in FA Cup finals and things like that. When I say finals, I mean I went to one, but you know I don't stand up when Villa score. Right? I don't stand up.
Thank you.
And you just sat down, just watching it.
I've just been.
I was jumping. Like, it was very emotional, to be fair, because it was like the last lap and it was like, can he get through? They need to turn 5, which no one saw coming. Another fun fact is my mum doesn't watch Formula 1. She sat downstairs crying in happiness when Max won. She was going, she's sitting there sobbing her eyes out saying, I don't know who he is. So it caused emotion for everyone. Good and bad.
It was fantastic. I've just been handed as well. As F1 Twitter comes through, so we'll get that sorted. I've just been handed Post has come as well, and I've just been handed a Snetterton guide as well. So it's here we go. So it's Snetterton 2023. Probably because I did the Snetterton race for touring cars, and it's literally got a questionnaire of what everything's in. So we've got TCR UK Touring Car Championship as well, Saturday 8th, Sunday 9th of April. Then we've got the QuickFit British Touring Car Championship, 20th and 21st of May, so it's earlier again this year, Snetterton. British GT Challenge, 18th of June. Bennett Superbike Championship, British, 9th of July. Track Racing Series, 17th of September. Modified Live, of course, the big one, on the 22nd of October. And it's just given us all these little things. It's nice seeing that, actually, so... yeah, that's very nice as well. Site facilities, free public parking, children's playground, toilets and showers, didn't see that. Bars and restaurants, free Wi-Fi, didn't see that either. Disabled facilities, baby changing, camping and medical centre. Yeah, another medical centre having to go in there and having 2 tests a day, one in the morning, one in the evening for COVID. And as I said, we was down there and got talking to some drivers.
I hope you don't need the baby changing part.
No, I definitely don't need that. Unless I take my niece, nephew and... niece nephew. No, why did I say that? I was thinking that's because Kellyanne's coming as well, and that was her niece nephew. If I take Iris and Freddie out there, that's a fortunate flip there, isn't it? I'll get stick for that if they're watching that now because they're second cousins.
Not to say, one thing for people who like F1 and you're not involved into other motorsports, you definitely should, because I went to. Speaking of GT, I went to watch the British GT at Donington. I think it was the end of October for the final round.
Oh, I was there in 2017. Great race.
And it was great. I watched the last race of 201, and it was really, really great. Hearing the cars. And obviously, another good thing is, because I think it's the same with general admission, I had the grandstand ticket, but in general, if you have any ticket, I think you can just walk around the whole track. We went all the way around.
You did what I did.
We didn't go to the top of the hill, but we went round to the back of the chicane, then down to the hairpin, then turn 1 and 2, and it's really nice. You get a lot of access around that track, and I believe it's probably similar at some of the other British tracks. I haven't been to any others.
Yes, Snetterton's the same. Go on, Tom.
I've got tickets for Donington this year, which is on May the 20th. It'll actually be the first racing event I've got to in real life, which is exciting. I've been talking about going for years. My dad always tells me I used to go to Donington as a kid, and we've been wanting to go for years. I've thought about going to Brisker F1 a few times. I got a local track as well for that. Never been, so finally going. I've heard you get paddock access as well with your general admission ticket, which is incredible. But it was only like 25 quid. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it is really worth it. I did the pit lane walk, and that was part of the general admission because I saw everyone lining up, and I thought surely this is for like VIP. So I went over and asked the security guard, and he said, "Oh no, anyone can go in." I was like, "Well, that's me sorted." So in the back of the queue went in, and you got to see all the drivers from the GT through the GT4, and I think there was also a couple of drivers who drove in the GB3 as well, who was just like peering around, and it was really weird going into a pit lane because it's like, wow, I've seen this on TV, but not in real life, and it just seems so weird and surreal.
Silverstone's
You're like,
pit
hang
lane.
on, no way I'm here. And looking around, you're thinking, I'm in a pit lane where F1 cars and where bikes and GT3 cars have been before.
Silverstone's the best one, honestly. You go in the pit lane and you literally, my legs, I was on air as well, and they just start shaking as you're walking up and down the pit lane. It's absolutely unbelievable. It's definitely one of the best experiences I can ever say.
I don't want to cut you off. Joe's just gone second quickest with the purple middle sector.
Oh my! 40.188. So Joe's right up there. Alonso's second. Alonso top still.
And Stroll, purple first sector. Does he get a purple middle?
Go on. Oh, 4,000!
4,000!
Aston, believe the hype train, everybody! Alonso was the train last year, was holding everybody up. This year, he's towing everybody along. I'll call Joe's lap, then I want to get over to Jess's point that she's made, because I want to read that out as well. Out of the last corner, towards the line then, Stroll, he's gone fastest! The guy with a broken wrist
2/10
is 2/10 faster! I mean,
very nice.
I mean, come on. That's impressive as anything.
we all got surprised when we saw Latifi third in Hungary. No, sorry, first in Hungary in practice 3. But if we can have Zhou, Alonso, Stroll as the top 3 in practice, that would be something. That would probably already be the most memorable part of the season. And we're only at round 1, practice 3.
And that's
all of
Bottas.
this hype.
Go on.
All of this hype just for Max Verstappen to go fastest by 7 seconds per second
Well.
in a couple of hours' time.
Oh,
I mean, come on.
let us dream. Let us dream. Okay, Jess's point I want to get in as well. It's been great. Josh has actually said, first of all, it's been great seeing how big this has become over 1.5 years, and it's been great to be on this journey with you. And I thank you massively for allowing me to be on this journey with you. Josh, it's a oh, hang on. Good improvement in Tidy T12, says Stroll on the radio. Oh, I'm loving every second of working with everybody here as well. I'm glad we can have you now on the races as well more, because originally the software glitched, but now we've got it all sorted for this year. SHT says, when I watched the Alpine episode of Drive to Survive, the scene where Otmar announced Piastri as his team's driver in front of everyone in the factory, and when Piastri drops the bombshell, it was awkward and embarrassing. Oh my! What was that? Something about the French team, that one, wasn't it? And Jess says, that would be good. I definitely want to do more, to be more involved with these watch-alongs this year. I had so much fun in testing. No clue how I would be at Josh T in terms of, who Jess would be. I don't know. Richie, we work with Jess. Who would Jess be on the Sky team? I'd say Rachel. Rachel drives and can do the media.
See, I'd say Natalie with more enthusiasm.
Oh, wow, okay.
I think Natalie's a bit. I think Natalie and Jess are very similar, but Jess is a lot more enthusiastic than Natalie. Natalie's very monotone and like, and he's gone quickest. Well done. But Jess is a lot more enthusiastic than that, especially with the PSF1
yes.
qualifyings.
I love this from Jess. My mum and dad love F1. Luckily, they got me into motorsport. They are big Lewis Hamilton fans, so they found the ending of 21 hard to watch. The hype train is alive, Josh says. Josh says the hype train is real. Stroll goes quicker, says SHT. Stroll purpose it to 1. This is getting insane out there now. But I must say that's pretty much how I started, because it was Dad and Kellyanne. They watched Formula 1, and then David watched Formula 1. Then I sort of grew up with Formula 1. Then I became obsessed with Formula 1, and it sort of just ran from there. In terms of you turn it into a job, which is weird if you think about it in terms of trying to pursue it. But blame Murray Walker for that.
Us commentators get dragged into F1, and then people don't realise how much time we actually spend involved in it. And then obviously, we got PSGL as well, so that creates even more time loss for us.
Tell you what, Richie.
Look at that.
Richie, I texted you last night, and would you like to tell the ladies and gentlemen what time I texted you at last night?
I'll have a check, bro. I know it was late, so I was like, Jesus, it's so like it was at 5 to 1 in the morning.
And I was up at 6:30 getting everything sorted. That's what it takes. Early mornings, early starts. That's nothing compared to you, though, Tom, which is your work schedule just gets absolutely thrown out the window. You're worse than me on these races. I don't know how that's possible.
I am quite bad, to be fair.
Russell's fastest in the first sector. He's done a 29.47. That means he gets beaten by Hamilton, though. 29.330. So he's going quicker. Zhou and Bottas back into the pit lane for the Astons. The timing's a little bit behind the TV pictures, I've noticed.
They are, yeah, I thought that.
Yeah, they were behind it by over a minute in Formula 3 in practice.
Yeah, the timings. I've noticed as well. Do you know when someone sets a time? I don't know if it's too bad today because I've really been paying attention. But yes, I just say Alonso was in 6th. And he shot up to first. He'd come across the line, then it'd be about 4 seconds until the arrow moves up.
Yeah,
and it's like, come on, it's a multi-million-pound company. You can't sort live timings out.
All I do know, go on, Tom.
These are like the biggest broadcasts in the world. I mean, there's not really much they can do to fix it. This thing is, if you've ever watched a video or a documentary or anything on how F1 television is put on as Hamilton's purple in Sector 2 as well, it's unbelievable.
I don't have a clue about radio broadcasts and stuff. It's completely out of my territory.
Mercedes.
I'll just use the information they give me, and that's it.
Mercedes are about to spoil everybody's fun. Russell goes top, 132.731, but Lewis Hamilton, who never topped a single session last year, goes top with a 132.555. It's a Mercedes 1-2 in third practice, and you just have to say, are we really back to that again?
Surely there's going to be a bit of blunders here. Mercedes, they can't surely have gone from being fourth, fifth quickest in the first 2 sessions to being quickest in the third session. If they've done it, bravo.
See, where's
But they've definitely
Ferrari?
pulled something off. Ferrari is 6th and 7th.
I haven't talked to him. Go on.
Which hand is Lance Stroll's bad hand? Is it his left?
Right, isn't
Right
it?
hand, he's
'Cause he
got
was-
the surgery on. Left
Yeah, because
hand,
he was
it's
using his left hand
bandaged.
to
Yeah.
push the wheel in turn 1.
Yeah, so right
Yeah,
hand's
'cause
got the
he-
surgery.
I'm watching his on board, and he seemed to be that left hand. I thought looked the weaker one. He's definitely holding the wheel very uncomfortably, which
Oh.
is a slight concern for me. To him, he's not holding it at the typical.
Oh, 2 seconds,
9.
Tom.
Who's let him
My
past?
rears are all so hot already to start with.
Yeah, copy, noticed that.
Did he say?
So look.
Okay, Hamilton says the rears were hot to begin with on that lap, but they still went quickest.
Well, that's an opposite from Mercedes for once. Normally it's too cold.
Couldn't get the W30 tyres. Go on, Tom.
Stroll isn't holding the wheel at 9.3. His right hand is wandering its way further up the wheel, and the left hand is quite low to try and offer a little bit of a base. And the issue you've got is that when you're not pushing the car through a corner, so when you're driving, I know this is true for karting, I'm not too sure race driving, but when you're driving, you're supposed to push with the hand that is leading the car that's got to go for the most travel, because that gives you the more precision. If you find yourself pulling the wheel through the corner, that's when you can start to be inaccurate, and that's when you start to lose time. So my slight concern is with that left hand just sort of wandering its way down the wheel. It's having to do a disproportionate amount of work through the left-handed turns, whereas
Yeah.
right hand should be pushing the car through the corners.
I'm just having a look at it now. They're down towards turn number 1 on the. it's a
Piastri,
right-hander.
4.
Wow, Oscar's 133.0. He's jumped
But,
up there.
I was watching the onboard of Lance going into turn 1 last night in practice 2, and you could see he goes into turn 1, and he actually takes his right hand off the wheel when he's turning in. Because
Yeah.
turn 1, it's a horrible corner, horrible hairpin, and the fact he's having to take his right hand off the wheel to turn with his left hand, you could see with all his might trying to push in, it's not good, is it? And also, Alonso's improving, Verstappen's improving,
Oh.
Ocon's improving, everyone's improving out on track right now.
Verstappen-
goes quickest.
Yep, cross the line, does a 1:32.345. So Verstappen back up to the top by 2/10 clear, but Alonso's also looking quick on the soft
Quickest.
tyre run. Alonso! Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy! It really must be true! 5,000's quicker than Max Verstappen! Alonso is absolutely flying! And here comes Esteban Ocon as well. Can he do anything across the line? 13th at the moment. Does he improve into the top 10?
Seventh.
Yep, 7th. 1:33.116. So Fernando Alonso is fastest by 0.05 of a second. This
Yeah,
is
well-
starting to get a little bit interesting.
See, this Aston, it's definitely got pace, because look at Stroll. He was 5/10 off last session. He's 5.7 off now.
With
and
no
the guy's
testing.
running with basically one hand.
Yeah.
So he's definitely got at least 2 or 3 tenths in that car. And considering last seat, well, I would say he's a good driver, but a lot of people seem to say he's a bad driver. The car's definitely not bad.
We're,
For sure.
we're facing the prospect of Alonso topping both
Brawn,
sessions.
2009.
This
Maybe.
looks really painful from Stroll, by the way.
It
I'm
is.
riding on board with his in-lap, and he's taking his right hand off the wheel at times to try and push it through. He's really not got a lot of... he's not got a lot of travel, I suppose,
here's
in the
Alonso.
right hand.
Currently still P1.
Oh, really?
This is amazing.
I've noticed, I think Alonso's comfortable with the car because you can see he's been I'd say he's been quite calm over
Yeah.
the past few days. He's been, the car's great. Well, last year, it was a different story. He was quite angry on the interviews because the car was unreliable. I can't wait to get at the team, blah, 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 blah. Now he seems like, yeah, the car's good. That's all. He doesn't seem too bothered at all.
This is
Which is
getting
good.
This is getting brilliant. This is one
And
of the
if
best
listen,
practice threes I've ever seen.
It might be early to call, but if we could have a Leclerc, Verstappen, Hamilton, Alonso,
Oh.
Russell battle for the championship, that would be something.
This is reminding me more and more of 2003 now. We're to a couple of races in. 20 years
See-
ago, it was Montoya versus Schumacher and Raikkonen for the title.
Yes. It's sad we don't see. To be fair, it's sad we don't see any of those old names in F1 anymore. Like Schumacher, obviously can't race. Raikkonen left. Vettel's gone. It's a shame because obviously I've only watched since 2016, and I've always seen Vettel on the grid, and I've always seen Raikkonen on the grid. And see them leave, it's like a big part of it being took away, like a feature being, put to bed. It's a shame because they're great drivers, but I suppose time comes when it's like, yeah, I've had enough. I think it's done for.
But
I think
yeah, go on, Tom.
This website you found is incredible.
it is.
What website?
My word, Recursive Projects.
Where were you?
Racing.recursiveprojects.cloud. That's incredible.
Josh has found what?
Wait, where?
Is this our pit reporter, Josh?
No, you found it apparently.
PLB.
Me? When? No worries,
I don't know.
Richie. No
Either
worries.
way, have a look at it because it's incredible. Unless he's talking about himself in third person, which is just incredibly confusing. But it's incredible. There's so much stuff. Check what he's put on the Discord.
I'm on my way to get to the Discord if I can. We've come off screen, but Perez is 19 still as well with 5 minutes to go. I'm trying to get to the Discord, but it won't let me load in quickly enough. There's too much going on the computer. Right, here's the commentary chat. Actually, why have I done that? I could just open up on my phone. I'd be a genius. Oh, Josh is in the
Josh found it.
Yeah,
My
okay.
apologies.
The other Josh. There's loads. Well, there's
Yes.
two of us. Let's have a look. Let's go to the YouTube chat quickly as well, because it all got thing. Where is it? Josh, the Santa on the radio earlier says, yeah, for your info, the seat cracked a bit like it used to last year. They can't even build a seat. Looked like a dominant third sector. Here comes Lewis, everything sandbagging. Jess says both Red Bulls did their lap on the hards. And then, of course, you like 2 secs Tom, because I had to say that with the team radio coming on. Piastri improving, love it as well. Love Josh's enthusiasm for FP3, says Jess. Yep, absolutely going for it as well. It's a great session. And it is really going good. We still have Perez, the Ferraris haven't come out yet. They haven't come out either, so it's all still getting there. Right, now, finally, I'm in the com chat as well. Rich is just taking himself a com cam for a bit because he's on the phone. Don't want to interrupt there. Right, Recursive Projects. What is this then, Tom? Talk me through it as I'm looking.
So it is, by their own description, a Elixir project dedicated to processing live data from Formula One races. It's like T-Feed, but if T-Feed had snorted a lot of cocaine before it booted up this morning.
Oh, Hamilton.
You can have stats. You can have stats. You got everything.
Okay, copy. We'll keep an eye on it.
This is
amazing, yeah.
I've just clicked onto it. Oh my god.
And the exciting thing is that there is an API that allows you to grab data, from my knowledge, from this particular process and use it for your own purposes, I believe.
Tom, you know what you're doing now, don't you?
I'll give it a look, Josh, because if we could get our own overlay sorted,
yeah.
that would be incredible.
What's an API?
Now, my limited programming knowledge, it's basically like you basically pull data from external websites to use in your own project, pretty much.
That could be interesting for the broadcasts.
I'm loving this. You can literally select everyone.
Yeah. Thing is, how is these types of websites legal? Being as
No
they're
idea.
taking all the data that Sky Sports and F1 TV have, surely.
Because
there's-
it's not copyrighted data. It's literally just they're just pulling raw data from F1. You're perfectly. Basically, as long as they've got that data out there, you're allowed to use it. Because it's again, it's not like, I suppose the F1 could argue that potentially they've got, you pay for lifetime, but I think that's pedantic at best. I think this is just you're allowed to use the data.
Just to let you know, Josh, as well as everybody, I have put that on the iPad screen as well as the data screen. I'll put it in splits as well. Ferrari then, 14th and 15th. They've been nowhere in this practice session. Been nowhere all weekend, actually, for the great Scuderia team who had the best launch of the season.
I presume they've just been doing a bit of practice with the setups and stuff. Sainz, where does he go? Up to 7. Leclerc is a little bit quicker off it than Sainz. About 2 tenths quicker in that middle sector in the first sector. Where does he go? Up to the line now. He goes up to 5th. So
Ferrari back
I hope
in the
this is
midfield team.
Ferrari not pushing to limits, because 5th and 8th.
Yeah, warming up.
It's not good at all, is it?
No, it's not. They're back to being midfield teams, which they're the third slowest now as well. Mercedes have improved. Aston. Fernando Alonso is 60 seconds away from topping back-to-back sessions for the first time since 2012.
2012. That's
2012.
11 years.
That's the
Well,
last time
hopefully
they did
this weekend he
back-to-backs.
could win for his first time in, what is it?
2013.
11 years? 2014, wasn't it? Spain?
No, 13.
31.
13.
Oh, 13. And was it Spain or was
Yes.
that wrong? Oh, well.
No, you're right there. Yeah. 13 Spain.
And, well, Verstappen, also, I found a stat out this morning which blew my mind. Since 2020 Abu Dhabi, Verstappen's had a 55% win rate.
Oh.
An 80% podium rate and 93% point rate. Which is just phenomenal.
I've got to admit, guys, I'm slightly concerned.
Why?
Because that looked to me like both, that looked to me like Verstappen was pushing. That looked to me like Alonso was pushing. So I think there's literally nothing between them.
Right, the best part is, and it's also the worst part, I actually support both Verstappen and Alonso. So this is, at the moment, going very well for me, but I believe Verstappen and Alonso battles won't be the cleanest. I think it'll be more like a Verstappen-Hamilton, but more like Verstappen-Verstappen.
Yeah.
In a way,
oh my God.
2021.
Have you seen the telemetry page of that as well?
Nope, I can't see it. Where is it?
The checker flag's come out, so the session is concluded, but it says open chart, and it opens up the entire telemetry of live telemetry and tells what everyone's doing in their lap time. Right, that is staying. We need more screens. We need more screens. That's what we need in this commentary box. I need about 2 more screens now.
Recap, Alonso.
Where's Megan's laptop? That's coming in here now.
Megan will be excited for this because she gets to see all of Alonso's.
Oh, that's true.
All of Alonso's lap times as well, and also look at Alonso. He's quickest by far throughout this session.
5,000.
If you just hover over his name.
Yes. Oh, you're right.
In terms of general lap times across the session.
He's been consistent, hasn't he? He hasn't moved. He's been doing he did 133s, then he's dropped to below the 132s, and he's been to 133s again. So, according to the telemetry, he's been quickest and consistent.
See, I love this because now I can see, by look at this, you can see Russell and Hamilton. They struggled in halfway through the session, so obviously they was running different setups then. And you can look, Russell had a big spike of lap time, same as in Hamilton. Then after that, they managed to get the lap times back down. So either they was doing high fuel runs, practice runs, or they was just testing at different setups. And also, why is that Mercedes sitting there?
Oh, that's Hamilton. And
that isn't ideal.
He's stopped in the middle of the pit lane. He's not in the fast lane, but I reckon. What, has he gone to a practice start and he's told to stop, or
yeah, it looks like it, because, the Mercedes crew running down to, I believe that's Williams.
Here we go.
So I think this will probably go red on exit. Just keep an eye for it. It will come and get you.
Fernando Alonso.
He's missed it.
Not ideal, sir.
Oh, come on, guys. This is twice now. Oh.
Wait, so what's happened?
He's tried to get to the end of the pit lane, but the red lights come on, so he's missed the pit exit. And that happened yesterday in practice 2, so he's only done 1 practice start going into the race.
Oh, well, that's not ideal for Lewis Hamilton, is it? At all. Toto Wolff, you can see these rather angry face, and of course, still using the Bose headphones, the ones that is smashed on the floor. Was it Saudi or
21.
Abu Dhabi?
Saudi 21.
Yeah. Still, at least it's shown that somehow those headphones are very, very good durability. Because didn't he use them after the race or something as well?
Yeah,
I think
they put a new band on it or something or other, because I think the headphones were actually
probably going actually.
Yeah. Headphones were fine.
Maybe it's not,
the
but he got
band.
angry.
Yeah. The actual earphones themselves were fine. The band broke, but they put a new, like at the top of the headband, they put a new one on. I thought their speakers were a bit smashed, but yeah. Coincidentally enough, Bose don't sponsor the team. They just kept the headsets after that incident because he smashed them. They said, right, no. So, but he likes them, so he's kept them. What a session. What a session. I'm loving this screen that Josh has found. I'm absolutely loving it.
No, but wasn't it found by you? I swear someone said, I think it was Tom said it was found by you.
No, it's Josh T.
Josh was talking about himself in third person, which is...
Oh.
Not me, by the way, not me third person.
The other Josh.
Pit reporter.
Yes. Ted Kravitz.
Ted Kravitz, Josh. He is Ted Kravitz. Yeah. I am loving this screen. I love it. It's showing us everything we need to know. I'm loving this. Oh, and you can even scroll over all lap times to find sectors. Right, well, Megan's found her new toy. Here's Max Verstappen's practice start. Oh, he bogged down.
Oh, but he had troubles yesterday, didn't he?
He did.
Wheel spin. So, the Red Bull's not looking too strong on the start. Obviously, it's only practice start, but is it a stall? Yeah, it's a bit of a stall, wasn't it? And I remember the last time we did that, was it Singapore last year?
Yes.
It was, wasn't it, when he barely moved off the line?
Didn't get going and stalled. Oh dear. Jonathan Wheatley, sporting director, watching on.
We're near the end of the session, and I want to ask Tom and Josh quickly, what would you say going into the season is going to be your favourite race of the season?
Oh,
from a now point of view. Perez also struggling.
He struggled. So yeah, he's going now. I would say my race I'm most looking forward to this year is Canada and Silverstone. They're the two I'm most looking forward to. What about you, Tom?
Monaco, no, I'm joking. I do like Monaco, but anyway, but it's a difficult question. Spa and Monza, my two favourite weekends of the year.
Cool. What about you, Richie?
For me, I'll probably say Imola, because I love the track. But in terms of what I think racing will come through, I'll probably say Spa, Silverstone, and maybe Brazil.
Well, Richie, well done. You managed to get to the end of a session without anything breaking, which is good.
See, which is I don't think we've actually made a full session, have we? Because the first session was Spain practice 1 last year. When the actual live stream cut off, you said, "I'm done with doing commentary for now," because it annoyed the hell out of you.
It was so stressful that day. Yeah.
I think that's and then we was doing Formula E race. I believe that was at Cape Town. Was that a race last year, Cape Town?
No, Berlin. And your computer died.
That ended before the race started because that's to rush out. So it's an achievement.
Here's the results then. Fernando Alonso is the fastest by 0.05 of a second to Max Verstappen. Sergio Perez third. Hamilton, Leclerc, Russell, Stroll, Sainz, Piastri and Gasly rounds out the top 10. Ocon 11th, followed by Zhou, Norris, Magnussen, Hülkenberg the 15. Tsunoda, Bottas, Sargent, Albon and De Vries complete the 20 riders out there in the Bahrain Grand Prix practice. Qualifying is next when the big guns really start coming out.
And obviously, hang on, I'll have a little quick look at the F2 qualifying, so I don't remember. But who do you think will win the F2 race?
I've got a good feeling going into the F2 that we're going to see a lot of racing. I've got a feeling that we're going to see Behrman do quite good, Victor Martins, but Théo Pourchaire in the feature race, I think, will walk away with it. The sprint today might be a bit different. Currently then, predictions then for qualifying before we go off air, because we've got F2 coming up. Tom, go on. Who's on pole?
Max Verstappen.
Oh, sport. Tom, who's on pole?
Tom, Richie.
Oh, Richie, who's on pole?
Yeah.
See, I'm already knackered. Alonso on pole. I wanted to ask him again just to make sure he said Alonso this time, and I'll let it out. So, Richie, you're going for Alonso. I've got to admit, I'm going Alonso only because I'm looking at that and I think they were both on complete push laps. There is nothing between them. So unless they Red Bull, because you can't turn the engine up to 11 in Q3 anymore, you've got to stay on the same mode. I reckon it'll be Alonso ahead of Verstappen.
We've both said that, but now it'll be Logan Sargent.
Yeah, just to completely put us out. Right, my thanks to you, Richie. My thanks to you, Tom, as well, for practice. Megan and Josh will be back with me for qualifying as well, coming up later. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's Fernando Alonso. 2 sessions out of 3. Aston seem to have pace. The big test is coming up later. Qualifying from 2:45 GMT. See you soon. Bye-bye.